William Whalen here for GetMoreSports.com, looking at one of the top storylines of the last few days in college football, and it's Nick Saban at Alabama making the rounds in the media, of course calling for the NCAA to look into and ultimately ban the ability for coaches to make an appearance at satellite camps. This, of course, is in response to Jim Harbaugh, new coach of the University of Michigan, making appearances at satellite camps in the South, grounds that Nick Saban and company in the SEC have had all to themselves recently. But we're seeing a trend of other schools being able to go in there and poach a few recruits, namely Ohio State. Of course, I think everybody expected that with Urban Meyer coming from Florida, having all those connections in the South. Obviously, Ohio State has benefited from that. And now with Michigan, I think Jim Harbaugh realizes that in college football now, you need athletes from the Southeast, without a doubt. And he's, of course, trying to make an effort and do everything he can to get those recruits. And it impacts what we see on Saturdays every season. These are the top recruiting grounds in the country. Everybody's going to battle it. Everybody wants a piece. Jim Harbaugh is no different. Now, Nick Saban wants to keep him out of the South, out of these satellite camps. He wants to get rid of that. And it's the most hypocritical thing that we've heard out of college football in quite some time, which is extremely hard to do given the hypocrisy of college football coaches. There's more hot air coming out of college football programs than of any other sport that the media covers. And Nick Saban is no different. Because guess what, Nick? Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is setting up every recruiting advantage that he can. He's setting up satellite camps so he can be there. What about your non-conference games in Texas? Do you think you minded when you had top recruits on the sideline watching you whip Michigan up and down the field? Do you think that anybody cares what Jim Harbaugh is doing in the South besides SEC coaches? No, because everybody's doing it in their own way. Nick Saban and many other SEC coaches oversign every single national signing day. They gray shirt about 100,000 guys a year. Of course, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but the recruiting practices in the SEC are so far from clean that it's extremely laughable for the head coach at Alabama to tell the NCAA to look into recruiting practices. It's a joke. Nick Saban, you're a joke for that comment. You're one of the best coaches in college football. You have built an extremely, extremely talented program that is deep and every year will be a contender. There is no denying that. But this comment is a joke. It's laughable. And come on, let's be honest. You don't want the NCAA cracking down on recruiting practices any more than any other coach in NCAA football does. Because everybody's got their stuff that they do to get an advantage. I'm not saying improprieties, but everybody's got their own way, whether it's satellite camps, scheduling certain games in certain spots just for a recruit to see. Whatever it is, everybody's looking for an advantage, you included. Don't crack the whip at Jim Harbaugh just because you're worried about Michigan poaching a recruit that you wanted.